taking off back down the road. A lot of people are starting to clear out, but there's still a good amount of protesters out here. A lot of people did park in the old Northgate Mall parking lot, and they just packed the streets.
Have
Mac,
people started dispersing,
walk a little bit over
Chris?
this way.
Right now we're seeing mostly police from your vantage point right there. Are the protesters moving back?
And Jim, yeah, the protesters are moving back, and we did hear just a round of fire from a few blocks over. I'm not sure if that is related to this situation or not, but we'll try and find out. But we did hear a round of pops just a minute ago. But as far as the protesters, they still do have a few straggling out here, but a good majority of them have left. A few of them are being handcuffed and detained. It looks like instead of using the traditional handcuffs, they're using zip ties. Mm-hmm. And let's see if we can zoom in maybe a little bit and get you a shot of that. But
this is a second person, that Chris, yeah?
Somebody has their hands behind their back. This is at least the third that we've seen detained by police out here. Mm-hmm. They do have a white van. I'm not sure if they're loading them up into there, but they do have more marked units a little bit further down going towards Willow. Mm-hmm. And
we still hear protesters, Chris. They're still out there. They're still chanting.
Yeah, there's still protesters. A lot of them have moved from the road. And let's see, they're telling this lady that she needs to move. She's saying, that's my brother who was arrested. Mm-hmm. Not sure what's going to happen right here. But, Mac, if we could take a little walk down this way, and we can see here in the parking lot at the Chevron that a lot of the people that were out here on the street, they have since moved, and now they're hanging out here in the parking lot, very quiet. And then if we pan over this way, you can see this is Moss Street, and behind the tree line, that's the Planet Fitness at the Northgate Mall. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are parked over there. They still do have people out here in the street, mm-hmm. but they're nowhere near as close as where they were. Police, though, are waiting patiently to see what happens, hoping that these people clear out. But they do have the mounted patrol back on the front line, and they're ready to move in, Jim.
Okay, Chris, yeah, it's a much different scene than what we did see just a few minutes ago. About 5 minutes ago now is when we saw police fire something. We're not exactly sure what it was. There were warnings that there could be tear gas. Chris, I'm not sure if it was irritating what you were around, but again, it was about 5 minutes ago when something was fired, whether it be flares or if it were in fact tear gas. The goal was to clear the streets, and it seems, looking at it 5 minutes on, that it has worked, yet police and deputies are still standing guard in case anything does happen. This is not far away from the Moss Street Police substation. This is the first time today that we've really seen police encounter the protesters. There was a police presence nearby for that protest earlier today, that rally for Trayford Peller and his family. And when the protest got on the move that first time over toward I-49, to block the interstate there and the Evangeline Thruway, we did see police off in the distance. I know I do have sources who tell me that they were encountered by protesters with things thrown at them, but police were not engaging with the protesters. And then around maybe 8:15 or so, 8:30 tonight is when police did encounter the protesters not far from the Moss Street police substation. They were working to, I guess, surround the substation, really. I did see some reports on social media that someone had lit a fire nearby. It was quickly extinguished, and some leaders in the group were telling the protesters that this was not the way to go about it. In fact, when the protesters were blocking the Evangeline Thruway earlier, hundreds, we did hear Kendria LaFleur reports from Marja Broussard, the local leader with the NAACP, who says that Marja Broussard, was telling the protesters not to block the roadway, that was not the intent. I'm seeing some more action out there right now. Chris, what's going on?
Hey, Jim, so it looks like some of the SWAT team, they're starting to move back. A few are still hanging here, but it does look like they're starting to push back and head back to a staging area. Now, there are a lot of people out here in the parking lot still screaming at the officers and using profanities. The Mounted Patrol, they're starting to back up as well and push back to Pine and Moss Street. We have seen a few cars leave, but now it appears that there's a few still blocking right here and a few cars that are still driving up, maybe thinking that the road is open, but this area very much so is closed and shut down here at Pine and Moss Street in Lafayette. And it looks like the SWAT team in their riot gear, they have reformed in the street. Now it looks like this group is Lafayette PD. We did see the sheriff's office out here earlier, and it looks like some sheriff deputies are still here, but on the front line is Lafayette PD, and then there's the Mounted Patrol as well. And state police is out here as well. We did see a few blocks down, there's a fire truck going down one of the side roads. And Acadian is out here as well on standby.
And Chris, do you think the intent of this was it to protect the police substation? How far away are you from the substation? Does that seem where police were trying to prevent the protesters from going?
So Jim, that's the really interesting part. So the deputies, look, Mac, if we can pan right here. So where the Mounted Patrol and the officers are, this is Moss and Pine Street. And if that would be going this way. Not sure if this is north or south. If you're going this way, that would be going towards Willow and the main post office on Moss Street.
Right.
And the actual police substation is down. The police substation, Mac, if we can pan over this way, the police substation is about 2 blocks down this way, going towards sort of like where Pizza Village is, in that area. Now, we have seen that the Mounted Patrol, they're starting to back up a little bit more. Some of the riot gear officers and deputies, they've backed off as well. But now some of these protesters are starting to move back into the street. We do hear sirens in the distance, and someone's yelling at us to tell the real story, and we are telling the story of what is happening out here. It is a still very tense situation, nowhere near as tense as what it was earlier. And let's see, there's a sheriff deputy vehicle rolling through right here, and you can see some of them in their riot gear in the back of the police truck. But it looks like they are leaving, and the protesters are saying bye. Some of them are waving as they hold their sign that say Black Lives Matter. They were waving.
And they don't seem fazed at all, Chris.
There's someone on the megaphone. We're trying to hear what they're saying.
With the threat of arrests, we have seen at least...
Can you repeat that, Jim?
I was going to say they don't seem entirely fazed by the threats of arrest. There were at least 3 people arrested, you saw, yeah?
Yeah, we saw at least 3 people arrested.